Hello and good morning, welcome to New Forest Morphs. I hope everyone's having a lovely beginning to the spring. The weather in the UK has suddenly got brighter, we've got some high pressure coming through. And Jared, it's been what, 15, 16 degrees temperature here in March, which is kind of unusual. But we've had so much rain over the last 3 or 4 weeks of the month, it's just lovely to see the bright sun coming. We've got colder nights, but we've got very warm days. And as a result, we've actually adjusted our temps and we switched off one of our heaters. And we've dialed down the other heater for the ambient temperature, and we came in this morning just to see how the animals were doing, Jared, and they're looking pretty good. I think they like the adjustment that we've made, because I think snakes do like to have a drop in temperature at night time, and they like to see a natural cycle. And I think what's happening is that a lot of them are using their heat spots more, and then they're bowl wrapping, and they seem to be a lot happier since we made that adjustment. So that's a really good thing. So today we also had a beautiful message and a letter from Celtic Balls, Geoff and Angie. So we'd like to thank them for sending us through some stickers, and they've sent us quite a pack, Jared. So let's just kick off today's series with what's happened. Now, I've got a lovely letter, and I'll just read you the letter. And there's Celtic Balls logo. So another sticker for the sticker board. So that's really nice, and we'll put that on our sticker board, Jared. And we've also got a second sticker, so this is another variation of their logo, Celtic Balls, Geoff and Angie. And they've also got a magnet which we can put on our fridge. So thank you very much, guys, very much appreciated. And we've also got their business card, and you can see that they're on Morph Market, YouTube and Instagram, and it's Jeffrey and Angie Donahue, and that's the business card they've got there as well. So thank you very much, guys. And their letter says, "Dear Paul and Jared, thank you so much for your kindness, your support, and the wonderful conversations that we've been having. We are so glad to have met you both, and being on your live was a very uplifting experience. We appreciate you so much, and we can't wait to see the amazing animals that you and Jared will produce." Thank you very much. So if you haven't had a chance to meet Geoff and Angie, we did a live show, what was it, about 6-7 weeks ago, and please go have a look at it. I have on the YouTube channel, Jed. Let me just show you what's going on here before we go on to the next part of this morning's series. I've just got their channel up here, and you can see that they've just recently come back from Tinley Park, and they've done a part 1, part 2 series, and they very kindly took their video cameras in to give us a up-to-date beautiful showing of some amazing animals that they shared with us. So thank you for sharing that with us. We felt like, well, I certainly felt like I was there, Jared, when I was watching the video, and they bumped into some of our friends as well. So they interviewed, I think it was Gershon at GP Snakes. They did an interview there on the show, so that was really nice. And they went over and saw some of the top breeders at the channel. And I think Justin Kabelka was there, there was Bob Balls was there. There's a whole range of personalities that they managed to meet up with. I think you had, I'm trying to remember now, I think it was Gen Z Reptiles. They met up with Gen Z Reptiles, Jason, they were both there. And quite a few friends were there too. And I think Key Constrictors was there. Can't remember exactly everyone there, but it was lovely to see the whole family and the whole community coming together. And one day we'll be travelling there ourselves, Jared, as soon as we can get over there. So thank you very much, guys, for sharing, and please go give them a follow. They've hit 220 subscribers, and they've only just started their channel, so they're growing nicely. Please go give them some love, we very much appreciate it. So let's just give you an update on how things are going here in our facility. So let's now we had some pairings from last week that we wanted to give you an update on, and we've got here one of the locks that we had was from our Calico girl. Now she's in shed. She's in shed right now, so it was amazing that she actually locked with our banana boy, and you can see that she is in shed and she's seeking the cool side. You can see how her eyes are so blue, Jared. But she's a beautiful example, and she's growing follicles, and she's bowl wrapping, and she's cooling. So the fact that she's locking, we're very hopeful that we're going to get some banana pastel calicos with orange dream in there as well, which would be lovely. And if you look at the daddy here, Apollo, he's actually showing a few more banana spots because he's maturing as a male. And can you see there's a few more spots coming on in Jared? So the Orange Dream has and he's super pastel Orange Dream banana, but there are less spots than the other banana boy that we've got. But as they mature, they do start to get spots. But he's a lovely boy, so that's doing well. Now, on the other pairings, we noticed that 4 or 5 of our animals were in shed last week. So therefore the lock rate wasn't as high as we were expecting. So what we've done is this week we've made sure our humidity's been up nicely, and every single shed has been perfect this week. And just to give you an example of how beautiful the animals look out shed, Bella, who's weighing in at 1300 grams, Jared, that your beautiful Orange Dream girl, let's just bring her out and just show you how beautiful she looks out shed now. And there she is. Leopard Pastel Orange Dream 100% Het Clown, and she's weighing in about 1300, Jared, isn't she? Yeah. Absolutely stunning. I love what Orange Dream and Leopard and Pastel do together. Can you see the chaining on the leopards are really beautiful? And you can see how the Pastel is blushing her head stamp out a little bit. But she's weighing in at 1300 at the moment, so we think that by the end of the season she should be big enough to breed with, but she's looking gorgeous. And you've had several boys that have shed out this week as well. So what we did is we actually paired up quite a few of our boys that were in shed last week. So what we've decided to do, because they haven't eaten for a little while, and we're going to be feeding them in the next couple of days, we're going to give them the opportunity to try and lock with their females out of shed, because we do think that some animals won't lock in shed, some will. And I think that's one of the reasons why our lock rate was perhaps lower than we expected. So just a quick update and show you what we've done. Here you have Thor, not Thor, I think this is our double het. Samo. Samo is gone in there with Moneypenny.
He's a Firefly double het.
Yeah.
Orange Ghost Pied.
Yeah, he shed out this week, so I'm hoping that these two will lock this week. And also we've got Mowgli, I think. Actually no, this is Thor. Yeah. So Thor is in there with sorry?
Yeah, is that Lala?
Lala. She's a pastel, super pastel 100% het pied. So we're going to try and get these two guys to get together. And the other one I've put in here, Jared, is Mowgli was in shed last week, and that's one of the reasons why. I mean, he hasn't given us a lock yet, but I'm hoping that he will actually do the business. You can see that they're tail to tailing, that's a good sign. So we shall leave them. We've only just put them together, so they're in the process of breeding. And over here we've also got our clown project here. You can see these two. Yeah, look, she's just pooed just then. See that? That poo wasn't there earlier. So the albino clown project, and the boy's just come out of shed, and he looks beautiful, Jared. So, and the only other one we've got is your girl Mo, and we've put Wizzy. She's 100% het pied, and we've got Wizzy going to her. And
she's actually a possible het.
She's a possible het, sorry. So there, he's looking good. He's on top of her, so that's good behaviour. Hopefully we'll get a lock from them. So that's all of our pairings for today. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we get some good locks. So today what we also want to do is give you an update and see how Toast is doing. And I think she's getting so close to laying eggs. We'll just show you how she's doing. Look at that. So she's actually coiling now on the heat spot. And that is typical behaviour, isn't it, before they lay their eggs?
Yeah, she'll put her tail in the middle and then she'll lay her eggs.
Yeah, but she's staying on the heat spot, so she's keeping those eggs nicely incubated, and she's looking good and she's glowing. These are all good signs that eggs are coming very soon, and she's due in about a week, so we hopefully next week we'll have our first clutch of eggs for 2022, so that's super exciting. But with that in mind, this leads us next on to preparing for those eggs, because they could come in the next couple of days, and we don't want to get caught short, do we, Jared? So what Jared's done, he's brought over, just to give a little reminder of how to set up an egg box. So we used vermiculite, and you can, as you see in the background, we've got plenty in store in anticipation that if we do get quite a few eggs this year, that we're ready for them. I don't want to be running around trying to get stuff short notice. And also we've fired up the incubator, and we've checked temps on there, and they're looking good. So the incubator's working. It's always good to test things at least a week before you're expecting your eggs, sometimes earlier. We've had that running for 2 weeks now, but we haven't made up any egg boxes. So I think it's really important to make up the egg boxes so that when the eggs come, you're not running around panicking to get it set up, that you can actually do it and get it all ready to go. So Jared, just talk us through the process of how you set up your egg boxes, and perhaps I'll get involved a little bit here. You can talk me through your setup.
Sure.
So what we've got here is like a...
So it's like what you use for a tropical fish tank to put coral on, or it can be called egg crate. It's got different names.
Yeah. Okay, so there's your egg crate, and inside you've also got some straws.
Yeah, those are just to separate the eggs when they come.
They're to support the eggs, and you've gone for a decent size box here, haven't you? It's like a shoebox size.
Yeah, you got to find the ones that fit in your incubator and the ones that will fit the best eggs in.
So the ones we're using here, a company called
Systema
Fresh, and they're not too expensive.
They're airtight boxes.
They're airtight boxes, and they've all been disinfected and cleaned from last year. So there's no, you don't want to be using boxes that haven't been disinfected. And you can see that there's a seal on these. So we don't actually use press and seal. I know quite a few breeders use a press and cling film. The reason we like these is that we find that we get a good humidity seal, and Jared's very carefully drilled a couple of holes. You can see
for airflow.
For airflow. Can you see the small little holes in there?
And you don't want big holes because it will release the humidity. You want little holes.
Yeah, and you've got two on that side as well.
Yeah.
So there's your setup, and the reason we use the egg crates is because we try to put the vermiculite down on the base, then we've set that on top, and then that's going to be full of humidity. You don't want the water to get on the eggs, and so the eggs sit lovely on there.
It's a nice barrier.
It's a beautiful barrier, and then you use the sticks there, those little straws. So you just bought some straws and you cut them to size.
Yeah, there's plastic straws.
Just plastic straws. You don't want to be using any wood. People make the mistake of using wooden golf tees, and
they'll rot.
They'll rot, and they'll actually encourage mold growth, which can spread onto your eggs. So you want to be quite clinical. You want to make sure it's disinfected, cleaned, thorough cleaned, and everything's clean from last season. So Jared, just talk me through how much we use in here and how much water you add. So
I put about 2 inches of vermiculite in the bottom.
Okay, so you can talk me through this. 2 inches, and you can see that it's very light. You can tell me when I've done enough, Jared.
Keep going. That should be good.
Is that good?
Yeah.
So now, with the vermiculite, why do we use this as opposed to the other stuff, Jared? What's the reason for using this?
Other stuff.
Like you get perlite and you get other stuff that people use.
Just because it's easily accessible for us to get, and it's done the job. So if it isn't broke, don't fix it.
Do you reckon that's enough? Or do you think we should
that's
more?
perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Because you need enough room for the eggs and the egg crate.
Yeah. Have you noticed stuff? Noticed in other videos when people are making up their egg boxes, with the perlite you get a lot of dust that kicks off, and you've got to really be careful because you don't want to get too much dust in your setup here. So the next stage is water, Jared. Have you got some water?
Yeah.
So here's our water. Now, some people measure up. We tend to, it's a bit like our cooking really, we don't measure things, we tend to go with our gut instincts. And because we're fishermen, we kind of try to get a ground bait mix when we're making ground bait for fishing. The texture that you want to hear is that when you clump it, that it stays together but doesn't squeeze out water unless you squeeze it really, unless you squeeze it really hard. It should be kind of moist. It should be quite moist, shouldn't it? So
you just want it moist but not splashy.
Yeah. So there we go. So, and the water, Jared, it's temperature. Yeah, it's quite.
Yeah, I mean you don't have to because the incubator will warm it up.
Yeah.
But I've put 90-degree water in there just so it's all ready.
Yeah, but if, for example, you were doing this on the day the eggs were coming, you wouldn't want to be putting cold water in there, otherwise you're going to be having a problem.
Yeah.
So Jared's got it up to about 90 degrees temps, and then that means we then mix in, and you try and get a nice even flow across. Here we go.
Keep going. It absorbs a lot.
It's amazing just how much it absorbs. And what level of humidity are we aiming for here, Jared?
As high as possible.
So you want to be getting as close to 100% as you can. Okay. And then next step, Jared?
Get your hands in and mix it up.
I get the fun of that, do I? So let's mix it up. I can feel the warmth in there. And it feels like ground bait, Jared.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does feel good. Yeah. So you give it a good mix.
Get in all the corners, make sure everything's wet.
Yeah. Okay, get in those corners. And then you try to, once you've mixed it, do you then clump it to make sure that it's all...
I just do one squeeze, so I pick one up and I squeeze it, and then water should come out. There you go.
So that's about right then?
Yeah.
Okay. And if for any particular reason it does dry out in the process, Jared, what is the...
You can put some more in if you need to, but you shouldn't need to. Like, we always make it so it's extra.
Yeah.
Maybe put a little bit more water in and mix it.
Okay.
Because the egg crate gives you that extra barrier.
Yeah.
That no matter what happens, it's not going to get the eggs wet.
Yeah. So is it best to have more than not enough?
Yeah.
In your opinion?
Some people go water and then egg crate on top of the water, but the problem with that is it can splash.
Yeah.
Onto the eggs.
Other people use sponges as well.
Sponges,
I noticed that
there's loads of different mediums you can use.
Yeah. And some people use, they don't use the egg crate, they actually use cocoa husk.
Yeah, I've seen that too.
And they just sit the eggs in. And some people sit the eggs in the vermiculite without the egg crate. But I like your idea, Jared.
You've got to measure it, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's pretty good, Jared. I think there's probably good moisture in that.
Yeah, so then you want to try and make it all flat and level.
Yeah.
And then you put one egg crate on top.
Yep.
I don't mind doing the egg crate where you wash your hands.
Should I go wash my hands so you can do that for me, Jared?
Sure.
Okay.
So then you get one. Usually I put the bigger one down first, because when the snakes, when they actually when they hatch, they can get their heads in there. So I put that down at the bottom first, and then I put the thinner one on top so they can't get their heads down. And then that is ready to then go in the incubator and stay nice and warm until we get our eggs that come. And then we'll put them straight in here and straight in the incubator. And I'll just leave these in the side here so that when we do get our eggs we can prop them up, stop them from rolling if they're separated.
Yep, so that's looking good, Jared. So on goes the seal, and we'll stick them into the incubator, and I think we'll check the temps on the incubator as well, because I've just adjusted the temps last night, so it could have an impact on here. So let's get the temp gun out, Jared. Are you ready to go?
Yeah.
So let's just check the temps. What have we got on there? 92. A bit high, is it? Or was it?
No, it's 80, 89.
88, 89. So is it about the right level?
Yeah.
Okay, so fine. And the fan's working nice and quietly in there, which is good. Yeah. And you've also got in there, what's this here, Joe?
Just a thermostat.
Thermostat, so we've got an internal thermostat showing 32.6 in there.
Yeah,
so,
it's not the most accurate thing in the world. But
yeah, but we've got the external one here as well.
Yeah.
And the probe is actually in the centre, so it's reading that. So we've got about 89,
90
is what you're aiming for here, so that's really, really good. So I think we've got that set up. Now, a lot of us are probably a bit concerned in the UK and worldwide about what's going on with world affairs, particularly with the various financial pressures that families are under at the moment. And of course, keeping a facility like this, Jared and I have just done our accounts, haven't we, Jared? And when you do your accounts, you get an idea of how much is going out. And what we realised is we spent probably too much on food last year, because we were feeding a lot of our animals once a week, and we've now moved across to once every 2 weeks, and that's now halved our food bill. Which, what we're finding is the animals are doing a lot better as a result. They're healthier, they look better, their poos are much better. As you can see, the poo in here, I mean, let's just use this as an example of what they're doing, because we are not, you can see that she's done a poo. Now that's what you call quality poo. Okay. Small, it's condensed, it's not fatty. You can see that she's just pooing out the remainder of her meal from 2 weeks ago. Now obviously, as she locks and gets more aggressive, we may then give them more food once a week to build up their reserve so they can sustain their egg development. But I think during the most of the year, once every 2 weeks is sufficient. And the nice thing is it reduces the costs for us. Also, Jared, are you finding that our cleaning time is reduced by half?
Yeah.
So we were spending an hour and a half a day in here cleaning, and now we've got it down to 45 minutes. So it does save on time. Are there any other savings, Jared, that we can do you think? Because you bought recently, Jared managed to source, because we've only got a couple of our animals that sit on cocoa husk, most of them sit on paper towels. And as you can see, Jared's got a 3 for 2 deal here. So it's worth looking out for those, because you can get an extra roll of tissue for the same price as 2, and that helps to keep our costs down. So our paper towels are working out to be half the price of cocoa husk. So this cocoa husk that we've bought here, Jared, tell us about why you went for that and what was the rationale behind going for this particular.
It was the one that would come the next day. I didn't realise how small it would be. Like, I wouldn't recommend getting this one because it's expensive for the size.
How much did you pay for this?
I don't remember, but it was more than I should have.
Yeah, I mean we don't use a lot of it, but what we've done here is we wanted to go for high quality cocoa fibre.
Oh yeah, it's good high quality. I'm pretty sure it's Exoterra or Zoomed. Exoterra.
It's Exoterra. Now what they do is you can see that it's quite fibrous, but it's not, if you have a look at it, it's not particularly powdery or dusty, and they actually clean it thoroughly and they also cook it. They
it's all heat treated and machine. It says heat treated and triple machine washed on the front.
Triple machine washed and heat treated. So I think that we're going to go for a high-end cocoa husk that's expensive because we've only got, out of 160 animals, 3 animals are on cocoa husk. So that isn't going to be a major cost for us. But we can't run the risk of, taking on board cocoa husk that's going to give problems. So we go for a very high grade and we'd only use it sparingly. We basically, to keep our veterinary costs down, because we looked at our veterinary costs this year as well, and that can creep up with time. So you've got to be careful that when you're buying into your cocoa husk, when you're buying into your bedding, that you want to minimise bacteria, you want to minimise mite issues, you want to minimise anything that's going to give your snakes a health issue. So it does pay to go for a more clinical, clean approach. It does mean that we've got to use these humidifiers that are costing us electricity to run, but since we've been using them, the animals are just glowing and they're so happy, as you can see from the ones that we showed you today. Are there any other cost savings, Jared, that we could recommend during these economic times of challenges that we're all facing, particularly with electricity and gas going up? What have we done on the facility to help reduce the electrical costs?
Well, when we built the facility, we well insulated it so that once the temperature's up, it stays up. Yeah. You don't have to keep putting electricity into it.
Absolutely. So you'll find that all the walls and the ceilings are all insulated, and we've got insulation in the floor too. We should have done more insulation, if we're honest.
Yeah.
Underfloor heating would have been better. Having said that, underfloor heating would have cost us more money as well. But what we're finding with so many heat mats that are on and with the right ambient temperature, the amount of watts that are being used is reduced because it's easier to maintain the ambient temperature, and therefore there's less drive on use of electricity. So that's important. And also, if you're thinking about building a facility, build it to the size of your collection, because the bigger the collection, the bigger the facility, the bigger the bills. So what we're planning to do is we are planning to reshape our collection, aren't we, Jared? We're going to be focusing on a lot of our higher end projects, and then we're going to be selling on any of the mature adults that we feel are ready for us to sell on, and then we'll focus on the higher end projects, which will then mean that the food bill will be going into those higher end projects, generating higher end return, and therefore it'll help to pay for the hobby better and easier to sell animals that are higher end as well. So there's another strategy to think about, is that if you've got a big collection and you're worried about your food costs, your electricity costs, you can downsize the scale of your operations. You can still generate similar income on higher end genes, so that's one thing to consider. And I think over the next few weeks we'll be looking at ways of saving money, but the paper towels I think is a good one. I think we're spending £30 for those paper towels, won't we, Jared?
Yeah.
About £30?
Yes, 30 something.
So it's costing us about £30 about once every 3 weeks. So it's about £10 a week for bedding. So if you work that out over the year,
and cleaning as well.
Does that include the cleaning? Oh, we use them for cleaning too. The other option is to get cheaper paper towels for cleaning, because those are high-end paper towels. They're 3 layered, which helps. So the other option is we could buy in some cheaper paper towels. Some people use newspaper to keep their cost of bedding down. Some people use chip paper. We haven't gone that route, but I think you can get a massive roll of chip paper. So if you're worried about your collection and your finances, you've got to look at all these small areas that can help bring down the costs. The other thing is some people use their homes, and the heating bill in their homes takes care of the heating for the snakes as well, Jared. Now since we've come out in the facility, our electricity use has gone up, but we needed to have a separate facility for the size of the collection. But if you're running a small collection, you'll find that it's very much more cost effective. So I think that's all about it for now. So hopefully everyone's having a good season, and looking forward to seeing those eggs coming, Jared. Hopefully next week we might have a clutch. So please do continue to support our channel. We very much appreciate that. Anything else from you, Jared, before we close?
No.
So sending our love to Geoff and Angie. Thank you so much for the stickers. We'll get them on the board, and we'll see you all very soon. Bye bye for now.